Yeah, good morning, my Tuesday King family. How is everybody today? I am doing well. I just listened to Mark McGuire, who was just on recently, and he said everything will start coming back. So fear not, my gold and silver friends, my physical gold and silver friends. All right. So what do we have going on here? We have, according to Mark McGuire, everything's fine. Everything's coming back. A lot of it's because of the oil. Um, let's take a look. So we've got silver back over 70, 70.57, having a wonderful day. Gold, look at gold, 10 o'clock, boom, 45.06. It just was 45. I thought it was 45.15, but I guess not. 45.11 or something. So anyway, 45.06. Again, very key. We broke 4,500. Again, this is paper bullshit. We understand. Our physical is 10 times more because there's a lot more supply of this, right? 200,000 tons of gold, but in the paper market, it's not 200,000 tons. They're playing this bullshit Ponzi scheme game. Madoff probably set it up. We understand that. Actually, JP Morgan set it up, and he probably set up Madoff too. He was probably the one behind Madoff that gave Madoff the idea because he gave him the bank account, right? So, with that said, there's a lot less supply of physical gold and silver, which you cannot print. It just comes out of the ground, and it's all out of the ground. There's very little left. Part of the reason COMEX has fallen, as I said, is so they can buy the remainder very cheap because everything else is much more expensive to buy physical gold and silver. China, Russia, you're not buying it at these ridiculously low prices. So that's what we have. We got our nice run of silver, but again, it was 72, 73, and then it came back to 67, and now it's back to 70. That must have been the triple witching hour, whatever that is, the end of the month, the end of the quarter, yesterday, because today's really the last day, but everything's going up. So that's good. We'll see what happens with the U.S., but right now the 10 o'clock drop is the 10 o'clock up. And when that's a good sign at 10 o'clock when they go. John Z, how are you? I'm fine. Let me just put my note in. So, all good news, all coming back. I'll play Mark McGuire. It's 40 minutes. I didn't listen to it all. I had a phone call, but the last segment on silver, I'll definitely play, and I think you'll all like that. Everything's headed up. All this because of the oil, they had to short some of it or sell some of it or pay commissions or all that margin call and stuff like that. So all that is gone now. You know, so I don't know what Trump's going to do. Something will happen tomorrow because he's waiting, but there's nothing he can do. He's lost the war. It's all over. Basically, what's our target? To take out the leader. Well, we did that, and the war's still going on. You thought we'd take out the leader like we did in Venezuela, which nothing happened from that, or Saddam Hussein or Gaddafi. So they're thinking it's still Gaddafi. We'll take out the leader and we'll steal the gold. And that's what they did with Saddam Hussein. That's what they did with Gaddafi. Only this is different times. Venezuela was a joke. Nothing happened. China and Russia got the gold out, In Africa, Russia's got the gold, and Africa is keeping their gold. So France is going broke because they were stealing all the gold and minerals. And so the U.S. and France and all these England, all these countries that would go into these other countries and fleece their gold, silver, and minerals, that's over. Now it's mostly Russia, China controlling everything, as they're going to control the physical price of the gold and silver. When you have 80,000 tons, you do not want the price to go down so you can buy more. You're at the point, you're not really looking to buy more. You're looking to get the price up, right? Now you're the king. So that's what we'll see. So anyway, so very positive news. Gold and silver will again start climbing up. It's really got nothing to do with the dollar being stronger, these interest rates. It's a wholly different thing. Because China, Russia, and BRICS don't really give a fuck about the dollar stronger against the euro, or higher interest rates or lower interest rates. According to Mark, you can't really do either. The Fed's kind of fucked, and the dollar's basically gone. Russia, China, Saudi Arabia, they're all buying oil in yuan or in gold. Because yuan's basically gold, because it's all gold back. So they're not using the dollar. Well, there goes demand for the dollar. Oops, you printed too much. So it's like you made 10 cakes and you're making these other stores buy your cakes. Well, if you want to buy oil, you got to buy our cake. And now it's gone. Now they're not forced to buy your cakes. So now you're making 10 cakes, but you can only sell 2 of them. And that's what we have now. So what do? The cakes go stale because you made too many of them. That's what you did with the dollar and the petrodollar. You printed all these dollars based on forcing people to use the dollar to buy oil, but it ain't working anymore. So now China and everybody's buying in yuan, and Russia's selling oil to India and China, and they're paying in yuan or rubles or gold. Nobody is using the dollar anymore. Well, wait, we made 10 cakes because you had to use it. Yeah, but now we only need 2. Well, wait, I made 10. And that's what you did. You overproduced the dollar. There's too much out there. There's massive inflation because, as we know, if inflation is only if you printed the dollar and it loses value. Again, there's 3 types of prices. One is inflation, is that the money gets printed, it loses value, and it takes more dollars to buy chocolate chip cookies or Oreos or something like that. 2, if supply goes down. So all this oil supply that's happening in the Middle East is not inflation. It's price going up due to supply going down. It's just like my cocoa for my dark chocolate. I mean, that's why I'm paying $6 a bar, is because the supply of cocoa is down. So when the supply goes down and the price goes up, it's not inflation. Then there's the last one, which is gold and silver. The demand goes up, the supply doesn't, and then the price goes up. It's not because of inflation, it's because of demand. And this is what I try to tell Alligator and those boys. I think Egon gets it. I saw Egon say something like, it's not money being printed, or inflation isn't money, it's money printing, not the prices going up. So he's been listening. But that's the problem. You have to understand, if the prices go up due to demand, it's not inflation. So anybody thinks that any price that goes up is inflation. Anytime the price goes up, no, it's not. So when Toyota raised their price on a Camry to $35,000 from $24,000, was that inflation? No, that was stupidity. And then they couldn't sell any because it wasn't inflation. It went up because of the costs went up. And so when the costs come down, when nobody will buy the car, the price goes down and it's back down to like 26,000. And that's the market. The market always wins. Me and you always win, because you know why? They put Oreos out there for $10. We're not buying it. And then they won't be able to sell it. Well, that's what business is, making a product that people will buy. This is why these electric vehicles don't work. They want 90,000 for them. You got to be kidding me. So the battery can die in a year and I got to spend 10 grand on a battery. Or I can buy a car and, as long as my engine transmission are fine, I got no problems. So that's why I buy Camrys or Toyota. The last, this is 6 years. I don't even have 100,000 miles on it. Everything's working fine on the car, just tires and brakes and get my oil changed. And that's it. So it's, it's very easy. So, but people don't understand it. They run to prices. But the market always, like I said to the guy at the barbecue, you raise your ribs to $45, you won't see anybody here. Nobody is saying they will pay $45 for the ribs. That's the problem. You have to understand what the market will pay for your goods. It's always the thing. Teaser King, I figure out I'll sell it for 100 a week. That's it. And I can't try to sell it for I could try 200 or 300, but I doubt I'll get too many people. They just normally, first of all, everybody wants my picks for free. Secondly, when they pay for it, people are competing with other non-teaser handicappers who don't pick 75%. And that's the other problem with it. So the normal handicapper might give 2 or 3 games, and who knows if he's giving props or who knows what he's giving now. And it's straight bets. And what does he go? Does he show his history like I do? So I can prove all my picks, right? They're all in my history. They're all in my pick pegs. I give free picks so you can monitor me and say, he picked the Raiders after he won. So that's really what you have with that. And that's what's happening. So nobody wants the dollar because it's printed too much. Everybody else understands if you overprint, it loses value. All right. So those are the 3 type of price increases. One is inflation, one is shortage of supply, and one is higher demand. And our fourth is the reverse. When the prices come down, which is like houses, you have $500,000 houses, but no demand for it. And the market says, I ain't paying 500, I can pay you 2. And therefore the value of the house goes to 2 because that's all the market can afford. And that's what they're willing to pay. And that's the bottom line, stone cold. So anyway, look at silver. Good boy. Silver 71.27. Gold, a little quieter, but still there. 45.11. So be patient. Everything comes back. Let's check the stock market, but I don't know. This is bullshit too. This is price fixing. Why doesn't my page? Why do I have to refresh my page? So we're back down under 46,000. We're down to 45.5. Are you getting nervous yet, you stockholders? Be careful holding stocks. It's all going to collapse. The economy is shit. The dollar is shit. Don't ignore this. All right. Let's take a look at sports. So how did we do yesterday? I went 2-1 in the pros, although I didn't bet any of it. My picks did go 2-1. We will look. We had New Orleans over 226, and New Orleans was a 237 with the Pistons, 129-108. I had Orlando minus 15 against Sacramento because Russell Westbrook was out, and Orlando wins by 4. 121-117. So Sacramento's on an East Coast trip, and they don't have their best player, and they lose 121-117. This is what I got to get used to in the NBA. And then my last game, I have Charlotte minus 1.5. They beat the Knicks 114-103. That one I was close to betting on. So 3 games, 2-1. I'm getting the handle of it. Notice how I laid off, but it was okay. So let's look at today's games. Is there anything worth betting? We got San Diego at Indy. We got San Diego minus 8.5, 239 to Indy. Now they're on an East Coast trip, San Diego. There's so many East and West Coast trips. They play so much. It's great. At least in baseball, they play a series with the teams, right? Detroit plays Chicago 3 games, and then Boston 3 games, and then New York 3 games. Then they go to the West Coast. So actually, Detroit's on the West Coast now at San Diego, but they'll play 3 series on with West Coast teams. We're here. You're playing back to back, this and that, a couple games here, and then you're going West Coast and East Coast, and then 3 or 4 games. So the whole thing's a lot more, a lot harder with that. But right now, I think it's not easy, but it's not that difficult. San Diego 8.5. I don't want to touch it as I see yesterday. I mean, that's a perfect example. Orlando Lane 15 to Sacramento, a team that sucks with their best player out, and it's a 4-point game. And you're like, what? So I don't know any of them. I went into the box scores to see. There was one guy I had never heard of before, and he played for like Duke or something. And you're going, oh, okay. So it's hard not knowing the players, but because we don't watch college basketball anymore, because it's so boring and ridiculous, and it's very rarely on TV except for those tournaments. So you just don't know. I can't name any player on Michigan or Michigan State. I can name a guy on the Windsor Spitfires OHL team. Guy's name is Greenlawn or something, or Greenleaf. I can name a guy there, but I can't name a guy in college. I have no idea. So let's see. So 8.5, 239. The first thought is to go over. I don't want to lay the 8.5. I don't know enough about Indy to take them as a home dog with 16 wins. So that's maybe an over game. Let me mark that down. Now there's a whole slate of games. So let's go San Diego over 239, but I'm not going to play it. No bet. Just trying to pick the game and see how we do. Atlanta goes to Boston. Boston 4.5, 226. I love this game over. This I will play. Atlanta's been scoring a ton. They just won at Detroit over 226, and that's going to be 2 units. Yes, Boston has a good defense, and Jack Tatum's back, but I still like Atlanta scores a lot, doesn't have a great defense. So they played way over with Detroit the other day. And I don't know what Detroit is. Are they an over team? They got some guy, some center I never heard of, who scored like 30 points yesterday. I'm going, who the fuck's this guy? I thought their whole team was Richie Cunningham. All right. Miami goes to Cleveland. Miami, I thought they just played Cleveland. I don't know. They played somebody close to that, maybe Chicago, and they beat them as the dog. Cleveland is 5.5, 242. I'm going to play Miami plus 5.5, but I'm not going to bet it. So the play's there, but I don't have enough confidence yet to bet it. Chicago goes to Oklahoma. Oklahoma lost to Nebraska last time to Boston. Oklahoma is 19.5, total of 238. This is an over, and I will bet this. Give me Oklahoma over 238, and we'll go 2 units on this. Chicago scores a lot and has no defense, and Oklahoma scores a ton, and I don't think they have a defense, and I think we get over 238. Houston against Memphis. Memphis lost one of their players, Jay Morant, whoever the hell that is. See, I don't care that they played at Duke or North Carolina or Kentucky. It doesn't matter. It's because it's just college and they're playing 1 year. They're not ready for the pros. They need at least 2 years. I'd say 3 years. Larry Bird played 4 years, by the way. Houston, 12.5, 227 at Memphis. Kind of like Houston here because I don't know what Memphis is, but I don't like playing 12.5 in a road favorite. Over, under, I don't know. So we're going to watch Memphis to see how good or bad they are. New Orleans plays at Toronto. And New Orleans played Detroit yesterday, got beat. Toronto, I thought, was playing San Diego earlier in the week, so they're back into Toronto. Toronto 8.5, 228. Well, let's go over here with Toronto. Over 228. I'm not going to bet it. I don't know New Orleans. They have that guy from Duke on it, Zion, the Anvil, whatever. I don't know. I looked. They don't. None of them really score. Zion's not good. He's too fat. So I don't know. Utah goes to Denver. Denver 18.5, 248. This is probably an over game. Let's go over with Denver. Denver over 248. I'll play this for 2 units. I like Denver at home. Utah seems to score and has no defense. Denver should score. The other guy, besides Djokovic, the other guy scored a lot the other game. So we'll see. Washington goes to Golden State. Steph Curry is still out, I believe. I don't believe he's back yet. He's coming back soon. Golden State, I don't know. Washington just killed Sacramento on their West Coast trip. 13.5 and 232. I got to leave this alone. Washington, terrible defense. So Golden State should score a lot, but they put up 133 on Sacramento. So I don't know what's going on there. Dallas goes to Portland. Portland 10.5, 239. I'm going to take Portland here. And I'll lay the 10.5. Don't like laying a lot, but Dallas is pretty weak, and Portland at home has always been a much better team. It's not East Coast to West Coast, but Dallas is just playing poorly. And their last game is Brooklyn going to the Lakers. Lakers 16.5, 222. We're going over here. LA over 222, 2 units. So I got 4 plays. I got Atlanta over 226. I got Oklahoma over 238. I got Denver over 248. And the Lakers over 222. And you notice I like playing the overs a lot because I think these teams have very weak defenses. Every once in a while, there's an under day. I don't want to lay 16.5 with the Lakers and 13.5 in Golden State or Denver. I really don't want to lay 18.5. Those are your fixed games. Okay, let's understand that. You guys always, every game's fixed. Well, every game isn't fixed, but these are games that easily are fixed. Okay, Denver, you can win by 18, but not 19. And it's an obvious fixed situation. Oops. Utah scored a late 3, and they lost by 17. Now, in the game, the starters aren't even playing. It's 18.5. So this is where the situations are for the fixed games, and that's where it is in football too. Kansas City laying 17 points or 14, and they win by 10. That's where I think the biggest fixes are in these high spread games. We see it in college. We see Ohio State playing, Delta State or something, and they're laying 39 points and they win by 33. That's why I do, if I do play them, I tease them. But that's the point of the teaser in football is if they're going to fix the game and the spread's 39, you can't win by 39. You win by 38. So they'll win by 35. I'll see that a whole lot. But the teaser generally helps you. Oh, all they had to do was win by 33. They won by 35. That's the fixed game, but that's how the teaser keeps it. So let's go through this. San Diego over 239. No bet. Atlanta over 226, 2 units. Miami plus, what's Miami plus? It'd be nice if I could write. Miami plus 5.5. Good God, man. Make it a 5. Miami plus 5.5, no bet. Oklahoma over 238, 2.5 units or 2 units. Toronto over 228, no bet. Denver over 248, 2 units. Portland minus 10.5, no bet. And the Lakers over 222, 2 units. So that is NBA today. And yes, I did miss a few. Let's see if there's news on Steph Curry playing. League vows to crack down on tanking. First of all, there's no such thing. Secondly, the tanking is really about the players are so bad that they lose. It's about not having enough talent in the league. There's no such thing as tanking. Teams do not go out. I played enough sports in the backyard football. You know, you'd play tackle football in the backyard when you were a kid, right, with your friends. You played. You played to win. You didn't just go out there and were excited. You went and you tried to win. You did your best. You tried catching the ball, throwing the ball. Or I played baseball where you'd go to the field when school was out in July, and you'd meet 10 friends and you'd play. And you tried. If you're an athlete, you want to compete, you want to win. There's no such thing as tanking. Nobody goes out there saying, well, what LeBron does, he just doesn't play. He doesn't care. He's not competitive. He just sits down and doesn't play at all rather than losing. All right. So you have guys like that where they will just sit out the game as opposed because they don't want to embarrass themselves by not trying. And these second stringers who get in, they're trying, they're playing because they're athletes, they're competitive. So there's no such thing as tanking. I'm tired of hearing this bullshit term. You got 30 teams and you've got enough players for 20 of them. So you got 10 teams that don't have NBA players on it, and you're expecting them to play the NBA. And that's the problem. So those teams are not tanking. There's just not enough talent. Look at the bad teams. Utah, Washington. Washington, by the way, just killed Sacramento. It was like 133 to 110 or something. Are they tanking? Oh, it didn't look like it there. Sacramento's won games. Washington just won. Brooklyn, they suck. They're not tanking. They have no talent. Again, you have too many teams and not enough players. And it's really hard to understand because when you watch this tournament, NCAA, you see players all over the place. So how hard is it to draft these guys? It's just confusing. And then you have this G League because these guys who play 1 year at Duke and Kentucky who are good against high school players are not good against pro players. They need to develop. They need to play at least 3 years, in my opinion. They're running into the NBA like idiots, but they can't. They're not ready. So that's like me taking one finance class and trying to be a senior financial analyst. I'm not ready. I need more classes. I got to learn economics. I got to learn stocks. I got to learn all this stuff before I'm ready. And they have to play at least, I would say, 3 years if they want to be a good pro and make the money, not this 1 year, one and done. That's just, have you ever seen anybody do good? You had Kobe Bryant, who went to Europe to play because he didn't play college. Moses Malone, okay. LeBron, yeah, he's never been that good. And I think there was 1 or 2 other high school guys, but not a lot. Again, they're playing high school players. What are they going to do in the pros? So I really don't see a lot of wisdom in playing 1 year and done, and nobody knows who the fuck you are. You're not going to get paid, and you're going to go into G League. I would never draft a one and done, and I would never play them. So let's see. NBA reportedly introduced 3 new anti-tanking ideas. No such thing. I would say if I could prove you tanked, you're going to get the last pick in the draft. And that would end that real quick, right? You go to the back of the line. You're after the champion, now you draft. So you're not going to draft first. You're going to draft, what is there, 30 teams? You're going to draft 30. You're going to draft 30th. That'll end your tanking. So Joel Embiid and Paul George combined for 63 in the first game back as Sixers scored. So now Philadelphia's a different team. I don't think they're playing today, but now they got guys back. That's you got to keep up with. Doc Rivers responds to basketball's critical statement of Bucks sitting antelope. Well, the Bucks can do what they want. Is that tanking? Well, not if the guy's injured. Look at Max Crosby. He sat out the last 2 games. He's bitching and crying, and then it's like, oh wait, he does have a chronic knee problem, and Baltimore found that out, and they don't want him because he's injured. It's like the center on the Lions last year was going to come back, only his hamstrings shot, so he didn't pass the physical. So wait a minute, let's see what's really happening. So Max Crosby is really injured and boondoggling that he's not, which is causing a trade that Baltimore said, no, he's injured. We're not taking him. And it's a chronic knee injury. So that's why Oakland's trying to get rid of him, is because of the knee injury. And people are smart going, I ain't taking him. I'm surprised the Lions didn't take him. It's perfect for them. He's injured. So somebody named Jaylen Brown is on the Celtics. I know Jack Tatum's back. We'll see. Timberwolves stun Rockets, becoming first NBA team to win a game. Lakers, Luka Brasi, first to average 40 points over 6 road games. Who gives a fuck? When they start throwing that shit out, I don't want to. I'm not saying anything about Steph Curry. All right. Let's go to the NCAA, where we had it was a weird day. We went 1-3, but the only game that mattered was the one we won. So we played Houston under 140 for 3 units, and they win for us. Good boys. I was watching the game. I was watching the other game, the game on TV, for a few minutes till I fell asleep. And I'm watching the score. There's 5 minutes gone, and the score is Illinois 2, Houston 0. I'm like, I think I'll win the under on this game. It's been 5 minutes, and you got 2 points. So let's go through it. Purdue 79, Texas 77. We did like Texas in the game. And Purdue under. Purdue did not go under 145. It was 156. So Purdue does win it. I did like Texas at 8.5, and I went wrong. I don't know why I knew Purdue would win, and Texas was good and all that. So I'm frustrated there, but I didn't bet the game. I did Purdue under. I had Iowa, Nebraska under. Iowa under 132, and they scored 148. Off by a little. So those two were kind of frustrating. But I didn't really know Nebraska, and the spread was 1.5, so it was hard to take Iowa there. Illinois 65, Houston 55, our big winner. That's 10. It's 120, and the total was 140. So we end up under. Now here's where I put down 140, but look at the final line. It was 141.5. People were betting this game over. What the hell? You've got to be an idiot to bet Houston over. Houston, with the best defense in the country, you're not gonna score 80 points on them. So at 140, I love the under, and I made it 3 units, which is very unusual for me. Normally it's 2 units at this point, and I make it 3 units. And some idiots are betting, and this is why you go, oh, the sharps better. This is why I don't give a fuck about the sharps. I don't give a fuck about AI, because they clearly blew it. This line should have went down. They probably took a statistical AI. Well, this is their average, so this is what they should score, and And it was never going to be there. 120 on a 140. That's why it's not fixed, right? Because it's not like it was 139 and they went under. Now they did want it to go under because the line, the betting went from 140 to 141 and a half. So the betting went over. The question is why? Oh, AI told me. Yeah, you probably shouldn't listen to AI. No, it was analytics. Analytics said that they score, the average is 145. So I'm going to bet the game over. Again, people not understanding anything. Houston with the best defense. You bet the best defense under. You bet Sandy Koufax under, Bob Gibson under, Jack Morris under. Now you don't have anybody to bet under. And we'll get to baseball in a minute. And Arizona, 109.88. I bet this game. I didn't bet this game. I went under 168. They score 197. Wow, it went down to 161. That's crazy. So this line went dominated. But now there's a stat I got to tell you. Arizona supposedly, it's very rare, has a top 5 offense and a top 5 defense. So I will say Arizona will win this tournament because of that. Whenever you have an A team with a great offense and a great defense, case closed. They will beat anybody. So I'll take Arizona to win it all. Once I heard that stat, that stat's very meaningful to somebody like me who doesn't look at the stats. It's a statistical thing, but I'm not looking at averages. I'm just seeing they're a top 5 offense and defense. They play in a good league, so it's meaningful. All right. Because they're now in the Big 12, I believe. They're not in the Pacific. So they're playing Kansas State and stuff like that, if I recall from my college football. So Arizona will win it all. Keep that. So we won with Houston, which was our only bet yesterday. 3 units, Houston under 140. Good boy. Now, did I learn anything? Well, I knew Texas was good. Iowa, Nebraska, I didn't learn anything. I didn't think Nebraska was that good. So I don't know what Iowa, they'll probably get killed. Illinois does beat Houston, but I think they're an under. However, they're going to play. Oh, okay. So it's going to be Illinois against Iowa. Interesting Big Ten game. A lot of Big Ten. You had Purdue, Iowa, Nebraska, Illinois. You got Michigan and Michigan State. I'm surprised Ohio State wasn't any good this year. So you're going to have Illinois against Iowa. This is a under game. And then you have Purdue against Arizona. That'll be an over game, and I'm going to like Arizona in that game. That'll be tomorrow. Okay, now let's get to today's game. Now I have 3 plays today. We're 1-0 from yesterday. We've got St. John's and Duke. Duke 6.5, 142.5. That line hasn't moved. I like Duke 2 units. I like St. John's plus 6.5. I didn't realize the Arkansas coach was the other guy. So there's Pitino, and then there's the guy who was at Kentucky who always wins. I can't think of his name. So he was the coach of Arizona. So all these coaches kind of come out the other end. They win. Look at Pitino. He wins. And the other guy, I can't think of his name, always win. He won at Kentucky. And then now all of a sudden they resurface. And now St. John's is, they're good. Oh, they got Rick Pitino. So it's like, follow Rick Pitino and bet him to go to the Final Four. You'll make a lot of money. Yeah, Calipari. Thank you, Johnny. John, not John C. I can call you John. I can call you Johnson. So Duke 6.5. I like St. John's because of Calipari. I don't know how good Duke is. I can't tell you. I just like St. John's. Oh, John Calipari. I don't care about that. I was calling you Johnny. All I care about is Pitino and Calipari. Next, we got Michigan 8.5, 172.5. I do like that this line's going down. I like Michigan minus 8.5 now and 173. I like that game. Did I like it over or under? Uh, it should be an over game because Alabama shoots a lot of threes. But if they miss, Michigan will blow them out, and I don't know if we'll get an over. Michigan should score 100. So I think this is an over game. And I like Michigan minus 8.5, but I'm not going to bet it. I don't know who's playing for Alabama, if Bear Bryant's still the coach, or, we got Milrose at point guard. Michigan with a good team. Michigan will win. But the line's coming down, so that's scary if you're like, oh, they're fixing the game and they'll do it. Michigan State, Connecticut. Connecticut 1.5, 135.5. I'd like Michigan State plus 2.5. I've already bet it, and it's a 2-unit play. So we got St. John's 6.5, 2 units. We got Michigan State plus 2.5, 2 units. Also like the game under 135.5. But I don't like betting it in this, especially after seeing the games yesterday where I thought they were all unders. This game could be an over. But that's why I like the point. I think Michigan State will win. In their last game, Iowa State, Tennessee, is Justin Jefferson playing for Iowa State. The 3.5, 139.5. And I liked Iowa State under 139, and this is 2 units. So I think Iowa State is like Houston. It'll be low scoring. I don't know what Tennessee is. I think I was watching some of the other scores when I did my pick in the tournament, and they were lower scoring. So again, let's go with that. So the plays: St. John's plus 6.5, 2 units. Michigan State plus 2.5, 2 units, and Iowa State under 139.5. After watching yesterday's game, I'm holding my breath, but under 139, 2 units. The more I think Michigan, I think they're going to go over, but I think I've been looking at the numbers 140, 145, and then I see 170 with Michigan, and it's like, that's what happened with Arizona yesterday. I wanted to go under with the game because it was a 168, and they went to 190, but I didn't bet it. So it's the same thing here. I like the over, I think, in Michigan, but it's 173. So if that doesn't scare you, that's 100 to 80. Yeah, it's probably going to be that. I might change and take Michigan in 2.5. So that's it. So you got the big winner yesterday, Houston under 3 units, and now we got 3 2-unit plays. St. John's, I think, wins straight out 6.5. Michigan State, I think, will come down to the buzzer 2.5, and Iowa State under. If Jefferson doesn't play, let's see if they make a note in this. If he doesn't play, it'll stay under. Iowa State unsure if All-American forward Justin Jefferson will play in Sweet 16. So that's what we're getting. We don't know. Tickets, $628. Are they crazy? Well, Jefferson's not a big scorer. Their leading scorers, some guy from Russia, Mamolivic, 17 points a game, and Gillespie, 18 points a game for Tennessee. So that tells me it should be an under. They don't have big scores. All right, so that's tonight's game. We'll look at tomorrow. Well, let's take a quick look at tomorrow now that we know the teams. I won't pick it till tomorrow. 2 games: Iowa, Illinois. We got Illinois laying 6.5, 138.5 to Iowa. I think Illinois wins. I think it'll be low scoring because now I'm seeing Illinois' defense is as good as Houston. You give 55 points to Houston, you're doing well. Purdue, Arizona. Arizona 6.5, 152. You got to love the game over, and I think I love Arizona 6.5 now that I realize how strong they are. So I'm going to go 6.5, 152.5. Yeah, I like Arizona 6.5. Get Arizona in at 6.5, I think. I know Purdue beat Michigan, but barely beating Texas. They're going to struggle against this Arizona team. So go Arizona, beat Purdue, and Illinois, Iowa. Illinois beat Houston. They're going to beat Iowa. So I like those. All right. So that is basketball. Now, trying to find a spread with the pitchers in baseball is fucking madness. Shatani gives his teammates a $4,000 Rolex. You got a $70 million contract. I would take that as an insult. I don't want your watch. We're teammates. I would not accept it. If you're going to give me a Rolex, give me a fucking Rolex. You make $70 million, you get all this endorsements, and you're giving me $4,000 watch? That's insulting, because these guys are all millionaires. You know, it'd be like somebody giving me like a Timex, like a $50 watch. I throw it in the garbage. What kind of crap is that? So you're giving millionaires. Why are you giving me a present? You should be out of baseball for gambling. This shows you that if he's giving his teammates $4,000, which there's 25, so he spent a whole 100,000. You're telling me he bet that the interpreter bet baseball for millions of dollars, and he no problem paid off his debts to the interpreter, but to his own teammates he only spends $100,000. Are you kidding me? That doesn't add up. Sorry, folks. This guy he was betting baseball or whatever else he was betting. Should be thrown out of the league, but they coddle him because he's Ohtani. Nobody's watching for Ohtani. I was watching the Dodger game. I was watching the basketball for about 10 minutes. I watched like an inning of baseball and I fell asleep, and I watched the basketball game and fell asleep. College basketball, it was a college game, and it was it's so bad. The product's so bad. The talent's so bad, and baseball's even worse. And I did not owe Shotani. If it was the Yankees and Mickey Mantle, I would let me see when Mantle's on. Shotani, I'm not watching. I have no interest. So we have today. Now, how do I get to the pitchers? I looked on other sites, and they just have the game and the odds. They don't have the pitching. So Max Fried pitched yesterday for the Yankees, but we didn't know it. Schitler's pitching. Now we don't have the EIA. Let's see if it's somewhere else. How do you not have the pitchers? I mean, this is crazy. So it says Schitler's pitching, which we have no idea what his stats are. I don't know. I'm flabbergasted. Let me Google this. Fantasy baseball waiver wire. I mean, it's not what I want to see. So here's giving me the Yankees at the 49ers, and I don't have a fucking pitchers thing. They took it out, and this is insanity. Oh, here it has it, but I don't know. It's going to give me ERAs. Cam Schittler and Robbie Ray, but I don't. I need the ERAs. So let me ask. Let me ask it this way. I asked for Major League Baseball pitching ERA for today's games, and I get the same mess. That last year's ERA, I guess they don't have it, but then it should come up as 0, is what I would think. So we'll see. Hopefully we get it, but TK covers has it the pitching matchups. Does it really? Okay, let's go to covers. Arizona looks like the best team. Arizona is the best team if we're talking college basketball. Scuba won. Scuba pitched 6 innings, like 60 or 79 pitches, I think. The thing is, the San Diego pitcher sucked, and he gave up like 8 runs in 3 innings or 4 innings. So Scuba left because they had a big lead. But I wouldn't even play Scuba. Sorry, buddy. You play, you're going to be tired. I don't want to get you tired. And when I try to trade you because they're not going to pay them, you might get hurt, and nobody will take anything for you. So for the good of the team, can't play you because you might get hurt because you're a crybaby. And if you do get hurt, you'll sit out the rest of the year. So you're gonna play your 6 innings and cry and quit. You're a quitter. You're a loser. I don't want you on my team. I got Framber Valdez, and I got a 80-year-old Verlander. So I'm gonna have those, and those would be my pitchers. And sorry, buddy, but you don't want to be here. I'm not going to play. I don't know why they waste their time playing him. I can't wait to see him hurt his arm, and then they're gonna go, "Why did you play him?" Because now you have to trade him. If anybody will take him, and then he won't sign his contract. So as soon as he feels anything, he's gonna go cry and sit on the bench and, "Oh, my arm. Yeah, I feel a little stiffness. I can't play." This is a guy who has no passion and no desire to win, doesn't want to be there, is out for the money, and this is a guy I don't want on my team. This is how I would draft NFL players. If they're there for the money, go fuck off. You're not on my team. I want passionate players who love to play football. As I was talking before in the backyard, you played because you enjoyed playing. You're passionate about it. You weren't getting paid any money to play it. So this is my point with Scuba. I would just sit him down. Sorry, fella. You're sitting down. Nothing we can do. And that would be it. You're going to sit down because when I try to trade you because you won't take our contract, if you're injured, I'm not going to get anything for you. I don't know how the trades work in baseball. I would have traded him by now. I would certainly trade him now. What's the point of having him? It's just stupid. So you say covers has it. Well, let's go to covers. I went to Scores and Odds and Vegas Insider, and nobody had it. Major League Baseball. We'll see. Here's covers. So let's go to Major League Baseball. Let's go to Major League Home. Let's go to odds. Yeah, there we go. Okay, that's what we'll have to go to covers now and not Yahoo. So covers is giving me Schitler against Robbie Ray, and they both have 0. Okay, thank you very much, Johnson. All right. Oh, perfect. Okay. Yes, I know they're all 0. Now it doesn't give us odds and betting lines. It's not giving me any betting. It's just giving me the picture. Oh, wait, there it is. Okay. Minus 130, 110. And then we want the total runs most of the time. Yeah, see, I like when I get all the picture together like I had on Yahoo. So I don't know who Schitler is for the Yankees. Robbie Ray's okay. Used to pitch for the Tigers. Now he's on the Niners. We'll see. Still too early because we want to see how they are this year. We've got Oakland and Toronto. In Toronto, Servino against Gausman. Looks like Toronto is the favorite. Gausman again. We'll start picking next week. Colorado at Miami, Sandy Alcantara for Miami, and Freeland for Colorado. Colorado was the worst team in the league. We got to see if they're still the worst team. Atlanta, Chris Sale against KC Reagans. We don't know who Reagans is. Chris Sale is good, but he's getting old. California against Houston. Kikuchi, who really sucked last year, against Burrows. Houston's a favorite there. I don't know who Burrows is. Detroit at San Diego. King against Valdez. San Diego's the favorite. We'll see. They looked pretty bad yesterday. Cleveland goes to Seattle. Williams against Kirby. Where's Ric Flair? Why isn't he pitching? 175. So Seattle's favored. I don't know who G. Williams. Arizona at the Dodgers. Nelson against Sheehan. Have no idea who these guys are. And that's it. So what I'm not getting, but maybe I can get, are the runs, the run odds. Now, it's not giving me. It's not giving me. I don't know where the runs are. Odds settings. Odds help. Let's see. Matchups. Line movements. Yeah, they're not showing me. They're not showing me like the totals in the game. This is such a pain in the ass. Oh, here we go. So I had to go into scores and matchups, and that gives me what I want. Okay. The Yankees against the Niners, Schittler. So I gotta, this is what I want. Okay, so we'll go off of this every day. So we got the Yankees minus 129 and the Niners plus 119 and a total of 8.5. Perfect. Now we don't really know what to do because we don't have ERAs this year, and that's what we need to see. I don't care what they did last year; changes happen. Detroit's total is 7.5. That I would probably bet over. I don't know how good Valdez is. I wasn't that good, but so this is our baseball. Very good. We covered baseball. We got to wait a week. Basketball, we've got 4 picks. We've got Atlanta over 226, Oklahoma over 238, Denver over 248, and the Lakers over 222, all 2 units. The rest of the games we're not playing, but I'm giving you the San Diego over 239, Miami plus 5.5, Toronto over 228, Portland minus 10.5. So I'm not betting those, but the others. And again, in college, we got St. John's getting 6.5, Michigan State getting 2.5, Iowa State under 139, and Michigan. I think I'm leaning to lay the 8.5 there. I think that's the best bet instead of fucking around with that. Okay. So again, I had an interview Wednesday for this company. I thought I'd hear back by today, but you never know. We'll see. Um, all right, so let's leave it at the NBA. So we got at least those games on. Is there any NBA games on TV? I don't think so. Fox, the NBA. There's an NBA network. Chicago, don't know. Golf, Cases, NBC Sports, NBA. Yeah, so there's no games on TV. I think Sunday they tend to have more. Okay. And let's go to Mark McGwire.
Here's what your body goes through when you start taking nature's Ozempic for 4 weeks. Minutes after your first pouch, you'll feel
central bank sovereigns and okay, it's 41 minutes. We're not going to play it all. We're just going to play the silver one. So thanks, John C., for the covers.com. I knew somebody was going to have it, so we'll have to go there. But it's so much easier when here's the line, here's the run total, and here's the pitcher with the ZRA. And I can't believe Yahoo, like, what the fuck are they doing? And they wonder why they won't get any, you're going to lose visitors, you're going to lose advertising money. So what else? So gold and silver will start moving again. Again, it's paper, and again, we're really we center on the physical because that's what it really is. It's very limited. There's huge demand. The demand hasn't gone away. The fact that all this oil bullshit and this war, Trump didn't know what he was doing. He thought, oh, we'll just do what we did in Venezuela. It didn't work. He wasn't prepared for it. His advisors suck. He should fire them all. What do you mean you didn't know that what would happen? You don't even understand Iran. And Iran's supposedly a constitutional limited republic, which is what we used to be. So they already have a new leader in, and they're not really looking to use nuclear weapons. If they wanted to, they would have developed them. They haven't developed them. They have no use for them. They don't really want to hurt. They are not the terrorist country. Iran is not a terrorist country. It's some of these other Middle Eastern countries that are, or like sections of them. So that's what we have. Let's go to Mark. Let's just get the intro, and then we will. So the intro is going to be what's happening. Why did gold go down? Why did silver go down? Again, it's just they're trying to buy it, which we know. And from now on, it should be starting to skyrocket. We should see $90 silver very soon and $5,000 gold very soon, as I've been confident that we would get.
The actors selling gold this week.
Mark McGwire.
And their various motives, of course. And to answer a lot of questions, we're going to drill into each of these sell drivers and the opportunities they present. Now, in order of importance, these are the most sizable paper to physical footprints that we're seeing. And so we'll start with the first one. So leaning in to sell gold would be a natural mechanical inverse relationship between a rising US Treasury yields and gold. However, the footprints expose the PPT, the plunge protection team. Yes, the very team that's been put in place for warlike events has been aggressively intervening in synthetic gold to fund a suppression really of the widening spread between US facing WTI oil and global Brent oil markets. So really, that's number one. And we'll drill into it and the reasons for it and all that kind of stuff. Secondly, of importance, the emboldened, wrong at both ends momentum speculators who control 80% of all the remaining COMEX open interest. They've morphed from bubble long into a technically overbought, when we were technically overbought at 56.26 just a short while ago. And now they're bubble short into Monday's overbought, into Monday's technically and fundamentally oversold conditions. We'll look at those on the charts in a little while. The third thing is the risk and oil market traders have been calling in gold hedges to meet margin calls, alongside some sovereigns who've been forced to cash in gold hedges to meet short-term unfactored cash flow dollar shortages, which were created by this war situation affecting suddenly affecting oil. And the last thing we'll be looking at is the last few remaining naked short long future speculators. And these are the ones that bought into, if you remember, the 29th of January to the 2nd of February, we had a $1,200 flash sell-off. Then it bounced. And these buyers, these speculators, have now also been fully eliminated. So let's drill into the each actor's footprints and then what it tells us. Now, historically, the PPT steps in to intervene in gold into all major market stress escalations. That's where they were formed for that purpose. But with physical gold liquidity now in the hands of China and the global south, the PPT's bandwidth, whereas in the past they had full control, it's now limited to how many leveraged ETF speculators, exchange traded fund speculators, can be flushed alongside the naked short momentums incentivized to take the short side, to take the load. Now, this added synthetically driven momentum action also forced some sovereigns selling to meet some sovereign gold selling to meet dollar funding shortages, which just appeared into a spike in oil prices. But that short-term unfactored disruption has now been realigned, hedged in other words, meaning this so-called correction has now reached an inflection point where it's becoming too stretched not to be heavily leaned into by a tight for supply physical market. Now, a picture's better than 1,000 words. So let's take a look at the chart footprints, and that's going to, and then we'll align them with the various actors in play. This paper to physical inflection point was triggered on Monday when gold hit very large central bank bids on the approach to the rising gold 4,090 200-day moving average, which was a slightly lower, it's rising by about $6 a day. It was slightly lower on Monday. I'm recording this on Wednesday. And what it did was trigger insider short covering, very large size T+1 spot demand at both the subsequent fixes, AM and the PM fixes. What it did was it illustrated really provided the first visible sign of returning central bank and sovereign safe haven gold buying into rising oil prices, into the synthetically driven gold price correction. Now, while real rates or higher so-called real rates automates mechanical institutional selling and disincentivizes gold investments, the PPT has been utilizing this natural tailwind to target all remaining speculative longs and in turn to tip the January momentum naked long buy mantra, which was here, instigated here, into a naked short momentum-driven downside. So bubble territory long here, bubble territory short here. And the big tell here was that the scope of the selling far exceeded plain vanilla ETF liquidations. Now, into the 27th day of this conflict, it's clear that alongside speculators, some sovereigns have been forced to cash in gold hedges to meet unfactored cash flow dollar shortages. However, this reversed on Monday into this close test of the 200-day moving average, where very large central bank and sovereign-related buying was triggered. And just for reference, this morning on Wednesday, the 200-day moving average is 4,096 and rising about $6 a day. So when this is published on Friday, a bit about $18 higher. Now, what's interesting is that because this far too obvious target was by no coincidence front run by the PPT, only a fraction of these central bank physical orders were tagged, and we're certain that global central banks and sovereigns are trailing this all-watch 200-day moving average higher, limiting the PPT's downside scope for more selling. So as I record this episode on Wednesday, following what is basically a 27% synthetic correction from the all-time highs into the returning central bank and sovereign buying on Monday, which occurred here, this morning gold's up over 8% off Monday's lows. And I view any further synthetically driven dips will be jumped on by central banks and a lot of physical stackers that I personally know as well. Now, while the main...
So what he means by synthetic is paper. Those are paper options when he says synthetic.
Media continues talking synthetic gold lower. The Fed's been caught in an impossible trap, triggered by the unfactored and lingering inflationary oil shock. They can't cut rates, but they can't raise rates without accelerating a 36.2 trillion national debt
39.
service
What is he
spiral.
talking? 36.
Now, the only available choices for a trapped Fed are to monetize or trigger a debt crisis. Now, under this chart noise, liquidity providers now report central banks and sovereigns are already rebuilding gold assets to front run this precise scenario. It's coming down the pike. Now, following Basel III recategorizing spot gold into a first tier net stable funding ratio compliant asset, all other global central banks and sovereigns have been converting high beta debasing dollars into inelastic physical gold, benefiting from a rising gold price based upon real supply demand fundamentals. Now, central banks and sovereigns are price insensitive to short-term movements, and they were buying gold at 5,600. They're continuing to buy gold at the 4,100 lows that we saw. Now, while we've confirmed reports of some leased gold being put into the market to meet dollar funding shortages, such as here Turkey ultimately had to be, they've done this, but these leases have to be bought back. And with central banks now underpinning the market, these sales will have to be bought back at higher prices. Now, these leased positions generate derivative gold sales. So, whereas net, no real physical gold or silver has been put on sale into this 20% synthetically driven gold price correction. However, conversely, and the reason these bets will have to be paid back at higher prices is the stronger dollar is enabling global central banks to secure more gold and silver ounces for dollars, greatly benefiting their ongoing de-dollarizing gold conversions. Now, of note, liquidity providers reported this morning that Russia has bought back the 15 tons of gold they sold in January. And furthermore, they're reported to be strong buyers into the higher dollar gold price. Now, and obviously they sold at a higher price, and now they're buying back. But they're now buying back, and they're adding to not only buying back the 15 tons, but they're adding to those. And almost certainly, as is the PBOC, this is an opportunity. The price action that we've been in.
So what that means is there's huge demand still for gold and silver. So we worry, well, the only thing that would make gold and silver go down is if there's no demand, as in any product. However, he just said Russia just bought back 15 tons or 15,000 tons, showing you that, no, it might have been 15 tons or 1,500 tons maybe, showing you that there's still a lot of demand, that even with the war going on, Russia's buying. PBOC's Bank of China. So China's buying, as we know, they might be at 100,000 by now. So that's what our concern is. So as long as there's demand, and it doesn't matter the price, they want gold and they want silver because they got to get out of paper and they want to get out of this. So the USD strengthening actually helped them buy more gold and silver. So now maybe we understand why, but it has no. So if anything, gold and silver should have went up with the dollar strengthening. Anyway, now it's turning. So that's our big thing. Yes, there's still huge demand. You still can't print gold and silver. It comes out of the ground and that's it. You don't have any left. So it's a very positive for us.
Experience since the oil market blew up out of its range has been taken advantage of into a long-standing US-centric hegemonic war on gold. Now, once again, the PPT has been employing every trick in the book to take full advantage of an otherwise mechanical inverse correlated sell-off. Now, while they've had a tailwind, Central bank sovereigns and institutional buyers recognize gold is temporarily deeply underpriced, and they're rebuilding their gold assets. Now, if the proposed 15-point settlement plan that was proposed, I think, yesterday, and I'm recording this on Wednesday, if that fails, and it certainly doesn't look very like it's being taken up at this point, now the PPT will have to find other ways than gold to cap US-facing WTI ahead of the midterms. Now, the PPT's oil price suppression mandate is attempting to understate US inflation risks, really to delay US Treasury yields spiking higher, triggering a full stock market breakdown ahead of the midterms, and also the inflationary side of it. It's not looking great if you're having to pay a large amount of money for when you hit the gas pump in America. So it is kind of a US-centric kind of anomaly. Now, the US is an oil-rich exporter, and their inability to implement a short-term war measures to ban WTI exports, which they were proposing, and that was the idea was to keep the US domestic market insulated from this inflationary soaring global price. And what that did was evolved into a strategy of releasing oil reserves alongside selling billions in gold derivatives to silo the US-facing WTI oil price under the $100 Rubicon line. Now, while WTI has subsequently been able to be capped,
that's West Texas oil,
100, and this morning it is back down into, let's have a look, basically 89, 90, thereabouts, whereas Brent is at 100 as I speak. And Brent soared as high as 119.13, which is the highest level since the Russian invasion in 2022. Now, by Monday, with WTI once again breaching the 100 Rubicon line, which it did, Trump backed off their 48-hour energy bombing ultimatum, also subsequently backing off the 5-day pause, which has now evolved into a proposed 1-month 15-point peace plan. However, Iran denies such direct discussions are underway, and nevertheless, all of this has taken the pressure off WTI for now, which was really what the object of this was. But regardless, from a fundamentally structural perspective, alongside severely oversold conditions into central bank support and the likelihood Trump will need a negotiated settlement to stave his midterm chances, it looks like the bottoms are now in both the gold and silver sell-offs. Now, war volatility aside, central banks and sovereign entities are increasingly aware that the Fed is caught in an impossible trap. And following the short-term dollar funding crisis, they're now hedging these inevitable risks with gold. So the Fed is trapped. Of course, this is now time to start hedging those risks. And this will serve to offset the initial mechanical gold to real rate correlations, which have been so closely correlated. Now, triggered by the unfactored inflationary oil shock, which, given it'll take years because of the damage that's been done, and in some cases up to 5 years to repair the infrastructure, it's going to take years, one way or the other, to normalize energy supplies. And the Fed, as I say, can't cut rates, but they can't raise rates without accelerating a 36.2 trillion national debt service spiral. And
39,
that is
Mark.
just the official numbers. It's far larger than that. Now, the only available choices for the Fed are to monetize or trigger a debt crisis. One way or the other, something's got to happen. This is exactly the cycle inflection point our liquidity providers are now being asked to buy gold to accommodate. And under the chart noise, central banks and sovereigns are already front-running this scenario. Hence, gold buying has stepped up. This is the inflection trigger point for the gold trade to reverse, which has always followed every single such derivative physical gold price suppression event. Gold rallies back, recharged. There's no speculators on board to rinse. And it makes new highs. So let's put this into perspective with the largest ever historical PPT gold price correction. Let's look at it. So here are the footprints that led up to a 4-year, 45% PPT-driven correction, which occurred from here to here. Now, bearing in mind, while the scale of this seems muted compared to what we've just witnessed, obviously, from a scale perspective, this is a far less. This was only 27%, and with an 8% rally, this was a 4-year, 5% PPT-driven correction, which directly followed the 2008 banking collapse, where, following a very similar to what we're seeing right now, black swan dollar funding shortage, evidence gold. So really, we saw that initial selling that to meet that. And again, this was hedges being called in. So essentially, to meet that, what that did was essentially, as soon as that was done, gold demand accelerated into what was really the fear of another collapse of the broken banking system. And this drove gold. I mean, really, they were racing to exchange debt-based dollars for gold. It drove gold from 680 in 2008 into the 1923-2011 highs here. And this 3-year gold accumulation period encompassed a period where the IMF had refused to allow the PBOC to buy 200 tons of its last ever gold sale. And if you remember, this was the 403 metric tons, the last ever sale by the IMF, where 200 tons was sold to India, and the remaining 203 odd tons was. It's also not going unnoticed that gold hit its most oversold levels. Intervention to put this most recent aggressive muscle memory PPT-driven gold correction into context. You need to put it into context with the larger picture. Now, throughout this 100% synthetically driven 27% correction from high to low, gold and silver have simply been synthetically corralled back into their 4 months range, not the multi-year range we were just looking at. Now, into this process, from a governing paper to physical perspective, the action already looks stretched and capitulative just in that short period of time. Now, why does it get resolved so quickly is the question I get. Because despite the race into dollars and the mechanical inverse gold to rising real yield selling, the physical gold horse has bolted the PPT's position concentration camp, and their PPT's position concentration is far less liquid than the Western accessible SGE physical supply demand pricing corridor provides a solid physical hedgeable price. Now, gold is oversold. It's also not going unnoticed that gold hit its most oversold levels since its November 2024 $2,500 equivalent lows. However, most Western analysis fails to account for the Western paper to global South physical inflection point. But here's the point missed by analysts viewing gold through Western lenses, including zero hedges analysis. gold is doing exactly what it was supposed to do when it was purchased, as they purchased originally, to hedge a black swan event, which we've just had. Now, obviously, there is a mechanical relationship between derivative gold and derivative real rates. So what are they backed by? Debt. But first tier gold provided the necessary instant liquidity. And that was when all other asset classes failed. The gold price overshoot was caused by the PPT disruptively leaning into the plain vanilla mechanical sell-off, which in turn has successfully driven the myopic current mainstream media narrative, which claims gold has failed as a safe haven hedge. Whereas in the global picture, it's only the West's focus on derivative gold that is actually being challenged. Under the covers, the entire global South are busy converting overpriced dollars into underpriced physical gold. Bottom line, all the bullion banks who estimated $6,000 gold plus or minus $6,000 gold are still projecting prices between 6 and 7,000. So basically, gold did what it was designed to do. When the sovereigns and central banks bought it for a black swan event, that is exactly what provided the liquidity. And sure, we saw, and that's what partly drove the sell-off, but it was the PPT that overshot and leaned into that and overshot it. It's done.
Hey, Andrew, you had made some comments earlier about silver. Can you share these? Because I'm telling you, we've got a lot of community members focusing on silver. Maybe you can share your thoughts on what's going on here.
Yeah, absolutely. And of note really was the paper to physical divergence in silver note. And while gold suppression antics have also weighed on silver, it's now become the wild card that is going to lead gold higher. Now, further evidence the PBOC and the generals are sucking silver into China to meet inelastic demand was partly evidenced by Bloomberg last Friday. So also noting global inventory shortages, quote, China's lofty imports have yet to disrupt the London market, thanks to a record inflow of silver into the global trading hub following historic squeeze last year. Less silver head in exchange traded funds around the world, which have dropped this year by more than 1,900 tons, has also freed up more metal. Now, if you recall, this was the historic squeeze that they have just referred to. To put the current silver supply-demand imbalance into context, despite this $60 sell-off from high to low, from February's high to Monday's 61,210 low, current Shanghai Futures Exchange inventories at 12.09 million ounces are barely off their all-time 11th of the March 8.1 million ounce lows. It illustrates physical demand is both inelastic and synthetically suppressed. The COMEX is the only source of underpriced silver that can be forced into delivery. Net of that, deliverable Shanghai spot silver has averaged a $10 premium, 13% higher than unallocated, backwardated, extremely oversold silver futures. So literally, the price is currently, in fact, $10, consistently been $10 here in the 106 level. It's currently, the sweet spot is currently 90. Silver has not been this oversold since October of 2023, when silver was trading below $21. Now, these COMEX registered inventories are being targeted. However, export US controls are forcing very large cash settlements. So essentially, you want to come and buy COMEX silver. there is some export controls in place, and is forcing large cash settlements. And these cash settlements are based upon an agreed, related, bilaterally settled LBMA physical delivery price. That's currently annualized at around plus or minus 8%. Plus, of course, there's the sundry shipping costs. Now, while these arbitrage margins are thin, silver is in such short supply that it's being drained into PBOC coffers. And while silver is captive to official PPT gold focus interventions, liquidity providers also report very large size PBOC military silver accumulations into the corrective action, with very large premiums being paid. And this places silver in the crosshairs for a very strong physical driven rally. As this silver demand now moves into competitive war conditions, we watch synthetically oversold silver to lead gold significantly higher. Watch it, it will move. It is already starting to outperform. We've seen mornings, yesterday morning, it went into the green, even though gold was still being weighed on. It's going to be hard to cap it. So in summary, really, other than the unlikely event that Trump calls the Iran war a victory and walks away, the damage is done. And liquidity providers' institutional feedback telegraphs the Fed is now forced to choose between, obviously, QE and a debt default, which means bond yields will fall despite elevated oil prices, and the dollar will weaken. Under the war haze, which is what we're seeing, and volatility, liquidity providers report the commencement of strong institutional move back into gold to hedge this unfactored black swan event. Now it's on the radar. What was a curveball is now on the radar. Very short term, momentum still have the bit between their teeth. They control 80% of the remaining open interest, but it is at half the levels it was. It's at historic multi-year lows. But despite, and they're leveraged, but it's leveraged, but despite assistive margin reductions, these actors are already in a similar bubble short levels as to when margins were raised, when they to pop their bubble long levels at into the February highs. Now, liquidity providers see the mechanical inverse relationship between rising US Treasury yields and gold reverse, and the PPT forced to ring the register on the momentum shorts before China does. And we've seen a little of that already. Now, we've been tracking the exit of CME and related LBMA unallocated price gold and silver liquidity increasingly flowing into the more representative, physically settled SGE benchmark exchanges. Now, commencing April, Indian ETFs will be able to settle prices outside the LBMA at the local Indian spot market price, which is allied much closer to the SGE benchmark. And as we drew attention to in our last episode, a lot of these SGE gold and silver transactions will be conducted off the SWIFT radar in the CIPS, that's the China Cross-Border Interbank Payment System. And as was highlighted by ex-Goldman Jeff Curry's last time we looked at it, he was discussing the increasingly liquid CIPS settlement system as being far more suited to transacting oil, gold, silver, and all periodic table commodity transactions. And following tariff sanction escalations, CIPS already has been handling all renminbi oil trades and is rapidly gaining global liquidity. Now, as an example, Russia sells all its oil to China and India without touching US dollars or SWIFT, dodging sanctions, cutting friction, etc. Curry called it, quote, a one-way revolving door for emerging markets avoiding US penalties. And this particularly provides off-radar transactions for commodity players facing hoarding, supply, and geopolitical risks. So that's all of those things are in place. Now, all of the above are now on the front burner, and Western bullion banks are breaking rank to participate. Now, bottom line, China is preparing for a dollar collapse and has in the process of setting the multi-trillion-dollar oil, energy, and commodity sector onto its own rails. It is well underway. Now, and in fact, what's just happened is this big flush has eliminated so much froth that it is really now back into the buy aggressive, and we saw that in 2010, the aggressive buy mode that they were in back then, when the IMF refused to allow them to buy that last 200 tons. Now, in summary, into these war conditions, short term, nobody knows if something goes wrong. I mean, a mistake, a nuclear fallout. I mean, from a hit, or anything could happen. But as it is right now, with the Straits of Hormuz still closed as of today, if the so-called 15-point off-ramp plan fails to make progress, we would expect higher oil prices and a rising dollar. Much higher oil prices and a rising dollar. However, following the initial race to cover dollar funding shortfalls, liquidity providers affirm returning central bank and sovereign physical buying has now returned in very large size into that very close test of the rising 200-day moving average. I would view such a dip as a de-dollarizing gift. Now, with underlying physical market support returning, spot gold spreads are slowly contracting again. They were so wide, but they've not yet normalized sufficiently to be reliable. That's the first sign to look for the resumption of the next physical driven leg to much, much higher gold and silver prices. Don't be fooled by the Western lens narrative. And that just raises the one and only question to end on. Nothing's changed. How much safe haven physical gold and silver do you own right now?
Not enough. So there you go. Gold and silver will be shooting up. I don't think we'll go nuclear. Nobody wins that. Trump with his plan, he doesn't know what he's doing. Basically, it's just, it's all good now. Okay, they taken it. They had to do these oils. There was margin calls. Okay. We've been there, done that. And now it's over. And now we should start seeing it explode, as I said. And let's take a look at what it's doing at 12 and 44. So we're at 70.42 on silver, and gold 45.11. So gold had hit 45.50, and it's doing a little 12 o'clock short for no reason. But again, we're happy it's over 45. We're happy it's over 44 on its way, but it'll start moving. We will get $6,000 to $8,000 gold soon. And then silver is above 70 and doesn't really hold it. It got to 71. Doesn't hold it. Let's check the stock market. I assume it's getting crushed. And we've got to always refresh. So it's down 500 to 45,453. That's a joke. It's way lower than that. That's what they believe, that a good stock market means a good economy. And there's always this election crap. And Trump wants to say, look at me. I'm the gingerbread man. Look how smart I am. I'm always the smartest man in the room. Yada, yada, yada. He's an idiot. But with that said, the gold price is way low and the stock market's way high. So we need to switch that around to get to reality. And then The dollar might go up against the euro, but it's not. And then we've got huge demand for gold and silver, physical. Still very weak supply. We have very weak supply there, so we will see. I don't know what to do when I get these spam calls because it could be the recruiter and I'm not answering it, wondering why aren't I getting a call? And who knows? But it comes across as spam, although they can leave me messages or send me an email. Anyway, I think that's about it. 12:47. It's the 27th of March. And so we got basketball tournament today and all weekend. We got NBA. Baseball is starting. We got to wait about 2 weeks to see how the new pitchers are. Yeah, Max Fried, Schoolboy. Well, Schoolboy, is only 6 innings, so he's not good again. This is crazy. This guy's 6 innings. Well, that's the way baseball's played now. Bullshit. He's a pussy. We all know it. Oh, I'm 6. I would not play him as the Tigers. I would have brought up some minor leaguers and who I'm going to have to anyway. And I got Valdez and Verlander, so I don't need Schoolboy. I don't care. I'm not going to win with him anyway because when he gets into the big games, he's going to sit down and sit out and after 6 innings. And I need to trade him because I'm not winning with him, and I'm not signing no 10-year contract. The guy's 32 years old, 10-year contract. Yeah, well, fuck off. Who's going to give you that? I'd give him, I guess if you give him 10, you're expecting to get like 3 or 4 out of him. And then he'll be injured and he'll cry. And you're not going to get 9 innings out of him. So it's going to be a very frustrating scenario with him not going 9 innings. That's just ridiculous. So that's it. So that's your basketball, your baseball markets. We've talked about markets again. It's the market sets the price. So, and everybody thinks that oil's going up is inflationary. It's not. A supply shortage because of the war. Supply shortage is not inflation. Demand increase, like in gold and silver, is not inflation. Just because the price goes up does not mean it's inflation. It's amazing how stupid these guys, you hear them on these other YouTube channels or whatever, and they just don't understand it. Well, the price went up. That's inflation. Inflation is really going to go up now. No, it's not. Inflation is you printed $150 trillion. That's inflation. And you keep printing every month. You got to cover your Social Security and your government employees, and you got to cover your debt and your military, and you got to print. So who knows how much? It could be 200 trillion by now because you're doing it every month. You owe $1 trillion just in the interest on the debt, or it's going up. Anyway, one other note that I want to pass on is this TSA, which is the security at the airport. Apparently, they haven't settled. The government has gone back to work, but not the TSA, and something related to the ICE guys, the Icemen. So what's happening is they're not getting paid. So a lot of them aren't working. And there's no replacement for them. I don't know why the airport doesn't have their own security or United and American. So people are waiting 3-4 hours in line to go through security, and they're all missing their airplanes. So if you're going to go to the airport, you better get there like 5 hours, 6 hours ahead of time to get through security. And I don't know what takes so long at security. Somebody's obviously doing it, but what did they do before TSA? So I don't know, but they need to settle that. So if you are traveling, especially to Europe or Africa, Asia, you better get there like 10 hours early because it's a flight you can't miss, especially if it's a flight going through like Philadelphia to get to Italy, right? So you can't really miss the first flight. So you're getting there real early to wait in line to get through security, to take a nap and wait at the gate until your flight's called, but you don't have any choice. Now they're looking to settle it, but they haven't. And then so there's huge delays, 4-hour lines in Houston. Atlanta's a little delayed. I don't know here. Yeah, I don't know if it's in everywhere or just Houston and apparently in Atlanta. I don't know, but I'm not traveling now. So if I do start traveling, this is one time you don't want to go to Vegas where you're going to be stuck in a 4-hour line to take a nonstop flight to Vegas. So get in the car, you'd beat it. Anyway, so we'll keep up to date on that. They're not in the budget. They're in the Homeland Security budget, and why they're letting that go with all the other crap they do. Let education go. God knows you don't need that if you're going to choose between that and TSA. People need to fly, so it's really strange, but be careful on that. So if you are traveling, I would call the airport or something. As I said, I put out a feeler yesterday. Anybody traveling, let me know or let us know how long the lines are at your airport. So that is it. So we got our sports, we got our gold and silver, the war. U.S. is running out of weapons. I don't know. It's supposed to have been just go in, Gaddafi him, and that's it, but it's not happening. And Iran's fighting back, and they're leveling Israel. And Iran's won this war like Russia beat Ukraine. So every war the U.S. gets in, they don't realize all the specific guidance systems and radar systems and drones and everything. We're still fighting like it's World War II. How are you going to get the Marines into this island of the oil island in Iran? Well, you can't. You can't drop them off. You can't pick them up. You can't feed them. You can't do anything because of the radar. They'll see the boat coming and blow it up. So, there's a lot of problems, and Trump really doesn't know what he's doing. And all these guys who work for the government are really clueless. They're not really even Senate approved, these couple of guys. So now they want a ceasefire. What is that? Is that a new war? They're not getting a ceasefire. Why would they? Iran's winning. So we will see. But anyway, so that's what's going on. Have a good day. www.teaserking.com. Daria did get a new VPN in Russia because apparently it's being blocked off by either the MI6, CIA, or Russia. Somebody's blocking, so they can't use it. So she texted me Tuesday morning, I think, and or Wednesday morning. I think she texted me Wednesday morning. Okay, I got the VPN, and then she hasn't been on since. It still says Wednesday at 6:30 a.m. she was on, but nothing yesterday, nothing today. It's like, and you wonder, you're like, what the fuck? Where is she? So anyway, what else is new with Daria? But this is not Daria's fault. This is obviously the war and blocking VPNs and stuff. So we'll see. Otherwise, she does email me when we have this situation. So that's good. Anyway, that's about it. And we'll go from there. So www.teaserking.com. Again, tonight we got St. John's in 6.5, Michigan State in 2.5, Iowa State under 139, 2 units each, and Michigan lay the 8.5, but no bet. NBA, we got Atlanta over 226, Oklahoma over 238, Denver over 248, and the Lakers over 222. Those are the 2-unit bets. So good luck on the tournament games. I did hit my one yesterday, so 1-0 yesterday. And 2-1 in the pros, but with no bets. So we'll see. But we're getting a little more comfortable betting football. And the amazing part is how good I'm doing in the tournament. And I don't know any players. I do know the coaches, though, and that's always the key. John Calipari, whatchamacallit, the guy on St. John's, Patino. You bet the coaches. I didn't bet Calipari, but I didn't know it was Calipari. But then I saw Rick Pitino, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm betting on that guy. He wins. That's all I know. And that's it. So gold and silver will start going up. Demand is huge. Supply is still low. Yeah, the U.S. is fucking around with the paper, but we're concerned about the physical. So in the short term, we have a little, but as Mark said, it should start going up relative to the demand. The worthless paper, the paper not having value, and they're selling the overvalued dollar for the undervalued gold. Gold is very undervalued right now, so keep that in mind. So just be patient. We'll see back in the it'll get to 8,000. This is just some bullshit, and then silver will hit 500 to 1,000. It'll go to 1,000, but right now your targets are like let's say 6,500 gold and 300 silver in the shorter term. By the end of the year, it should be 8,000 and 1,000. And because you got this war, and the U.S. knows they're broke, and they're doing this to get steel oil, like Hitler stole the gold from the central banks. That was his blitzkrieg. Hurry up, go get the gold and bring it back. Okay, blitzkrieg. And they had no money. They were broke, just like we are. So it's scary. We're following Hitler's plan. All right. Have a good day, everybody. www.tishaking.com. All right. Take care. Enjoy your day.